Picture this, it's a Saturday afternoon in Milan. Outside a Swatch store, grown adults are throwing punches, actual fist fights, and police are showing up. In London, the queues are so long, the UK locations have to cap the lines. In Times Square, one guy tells a reporter he's been camping out for an entire week. Not because he wants the watch, but because he's planning to flip it for 4 times the price before the sun goes down. What are they fighting over? A $400 pocket watch. Not a Rolex, not a real Audemars Piguet, a pocket watch with a calfskin lanyard that you wear around your neck, kind of like a Labubu. Welcome to the Swatch AP Royal Pop launch, possibly the most chaotic watch release in modern history, and a perfect case study in how hype culture has completely lost its mind. Here's the setup. Swatch, the affordable Swiss watch brand your mom probably had one in the 90s, teamed up with Audemars Piguet, one of the most prestigious luxury watchmakers on earth. Otherwise known as AP, they have this flagship watch called the Royal Oak that starts at over $25,000 and can sell for millions at auction. And the collab? 8 colorful pocket watches modeled on the Royal Oak's iconic octagonal design, priced at around $400 to $420. In store only, no online release, 1 per person per store per day. And all of this led to chaos. From New York to Kuala Lumpur, from Paris to Dubai, about 20 Swatch stores worldwide had to temporarily close because of crowd safety issues. Police intervention in the UK, brawls in Milan. The Swatch CEO had to issue a public statement begging people not to rush the stores. He defended the launch as an extraordinary success, which sure, if your definition of success includes needing law enforcement. Now here's the part that should really make you stop and think. Within hours of launch, Royal Pop watches were on StockX, eBay, and Chrono24 at massively inflated prices. A full set of all 8, retail value $3,240, sold on launch Sunday for over $25,000, and StockX logged more than 1,000 sales of Royal Pop products in the first few days, with the average full set going for $9,476. That is 192% over retail. In the lanyards, the little fabric straps the watch comes with, those were flipping for over $200 on resale. That is a 357% markup on a lanyard. So why are otherwise normal adults camping out for a week to buy a pocket watch they're going to immediately sell? And why are other adults paying 4 to 10 times retail to buy something they could have gotten for $400 if they had just been a little more patient? And the answer, like so many things nowadays, it's that it's not really about the product. There's a quote from a branding strategist named Dennis Cam that I think really resonates with what's actually going on here. And he says, "The chaos has become the cultural object in its own right. People are queuing to be there when it happens, and the watch is proof of presence. People are not so much there to buy a timepiece, instead, they are buying a story. They are buying the right to post a TikTok that says, 'I was there,' and you are buying a tiny piece of cultural relevance that you can list on eBay. And look, I get it, there is something genuinely fun about being part of a moment. The camaraderie of standing in line with other enthusiasts, the thrill of waiting for the door to open, the 'I got one' rush, and that's all very real. But watch collecting is a beautiful hobby with a serious community behind it. And I'm not here to dunk on people who love watches. But what is happening here with the Royal Pop is something really different. A huge chunk of the people in those lines weren't watch people, they were resellers or hype people, and the hype itself was the product that they were buying. And this chaos, this storm, none of this is an accident. There is a playbook. Swatch has run the exact same play before. The Omega Moon Swatch in 2022, the Blancpain Swatch collab in 2023. Same teaser ads, same in-store only release, same 1 per person rule, same global synchronized chaos. The whole format, surprise drops, limited locations, release arbitrage, influencer hauls. And this was all invented by sneaker culture and perfected in streetwear and is now eating every product alive. Whether it's Labubu, Stanley Cups, Lululemon belt bags, Travis Scott Jordans, it's the same thing over and over again. The royal pop isn't actually limited. Swatch literally put out a statement saying that production will continue for several months, and they told customers to calm down. In this chaos, it doesn't require that the watch is rare. The illusion of scarcity does the work, and the big lines, it does the work, and the brawls and the fighting, it helps the brand. By the time you realize that it's not rare, you've already paid 4 times retail because someone on TikTok told you it was going to be a grail piece. So let's talk about who actually wins here because it's not you. Audemars Piguet wins. They just made themselves the most talked about luxury watch brand in the world to a generation of people who would have otherwise never set foot in their boutiques. It's just pure brand exposure and a new audience for the real watches down the line. And of course, Swatch wins. The company claims 11 billion social media views and millions of website clicks since launch. And the early flippers win sort of. Anyone who grabbed one on day one and listed it within 24 hours probably tripled their money. But resale prices are already cooling down. Most units that were going for $2,000 are now selling closer to $1,500, and some colorways are down 6% within a week. And history says this curve only goes in one direction. The Moon Swatch resale prices crashed within months, the Blancpain crashed even faster, and this will probably happen here too. And the losers are the late buyers, the people who saw the chaos online. They got FOMO and dropped 2 grand on a pocket watch because they didn't want to miss out. They paid 5 times retail for a watch that in 6 months will probably be sitting on the shelf at Swatch for $400 unsold, gathering dust, just like the Moonswatch eventually did. And here's the thing, Swatch and AP don't care about any of this. They don't care if you waited in line for a week or if you paid 5 times retail. They don't care if you put it on a credit card or if you don't even have the money to begin with. What they do care about are the 11 billion views and the brand awareness it bought them, because at the end of all of this, you are not a customer in the story, you are very simply a metric. And this is where it stops being a fun watch story and starts being a real financial issue, because the royal pop on its own isn't going to ruin anyone, but the royal pop on its own is not the problem, because the problem is the pattern. Most people who get swept up in this aren't just doing it for the royal pop. They did it for the Moonswatch, for the Stanley Cup, for the Lububu drops, and they did it for the Travis Scott Jordans. Pick any month in 2026 and there's a drop, and the dopamine is identical every single time, and the financial damage compounds every single time. So let's do the math. If you bought a Royal Pop, 1 pair of hype sneakers, 3 Labubu drops, and a couple of Stanley Cup limited time releases this year, you have easily spent $2 or even $3,000 on hype and FOMO, not on rent, not on groceries, not really on anything you actually need. And that's a very conservative estimate for a lot of people in this culture. Now take that $2,500 and put it in an index fund averaging 7% returns instead. In 10 years, that is about $5,000. In 20 years, close to $10,000. Without you ever lifting a finger, without you having to wait outside in a line or getting into a fight. And do that every year for 20 years. That is $2,500 invested annually at 7%, and that becomes over $100,000. And that's the actual price and opportunity cost of staying in this culture. Not 400, not 1500, 6 figures over a couple of decades. That is a house down payment, a year of not working, maybe your kid's college, all gone because we wanted to be there for the moments. And some surveys still show around 58% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and average credit card debt sits above $6,000 per household. And we are out here dropping $1,000 on a pocket watch because Instagram told us it was a moment. So what do you actually do with all of this? 3 things. First, the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income goes to your needs, 30% to your wants, 20% to your savings or debt. If some new watch drops and it brings you joy and happiness, fit that in the 30%. But the second you are skipping a bill or going into credit card debt to make it to the front of the line, that's not a hobby, that is overconsumption and just consumerism. And that's a pattern that's going to follow you for the rest of your life. And second, the opportunity cost question. Every single time you are about to buy a drop, ask yourself, what would this money do somewhere else? Not in a guilt way, but in an honest way. Because once you start doing the math regularly, the magic of the moment starts to fade. And third, the question that might hurt. Ask yourself why you actually want that thing. If the answer is because I love watches and I've been following this for years, then sure, buy it, wear it, and enjoy it. But if your honest answer is closer to because I saw it on TikTok and I feel like I needed it, that's not desire. That's marketing from brands landing exactly where it was designed to land. And the second you can realize what is happening, then you can stop falling for the trap. And look, I don't blame anyone for getting swept up in all of the chaos and hype. The hype is engineered by some of the best marketing minds in the entire world, working with billion-dollar brands, with full social media saturation, with influencers paid to make you feel left out. And of course, it works. It would be weird if it didn't. But the moment you realize that the chaos is the product, the watch becomes a lot less magical. You were not buying a Royal Oak for $400. You were buying a $400 pocket watch with a marketing budget bigger than most countries. And Swatch and AP aren't going to stop. The next collaboration is already being planned. There'll be teaser ads, some cryptic posts will start dropping, and the internet will speculate, and people will start forming a line at the mall, and this it repeats forever. But the thing is, you don't have to be in that line. You don't have to fall for the trap every single time, and you can break away from this cycle. Because at the end of the day, it's capitalism, consumerism, and overconsumption. And now, just wrapped in some octagonal shape and a calfskin lanyard this time. And that is it. Let me know what you think about hype culture and this drop economy in the comments below. Have you ever stood in a line like this, ever bought something during a drop and regretted it immediately? And if you enjoy videos like this blend of consumerism, pop culture, and finance, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any other videos. Thank you very much for watching. And if we zoom out, it's not just watches, it's the entire drop economy now. Whether it be sneakers, toys, makeup, water bottles, every single product category is getting hype-ified. So check out the next video, where we go deeper into sneaker drop culture, how Nike, Adidas, and the resale market trained an entire generation to treat shoes like stocks and what it's costing them. Same machine, just a different costume.